I would say, thoughts on Nepal-China relations. And how we look forward, or where we should look forward. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Vishwakarma for his presentation. And then, of course, to my predecessor, all previous speakers who have spoken so many things about Nepal-China relation. I think I need not repeat them here. As we all know, Nepal-China are civilizational states enjoying age-old links. These age-old relations were formalized on August 1st, 1955. And this 1955 has been an important year in the diplomatic history of Nepal. We formalized our relations with China because they are, I say formalized because they are age old. The relations were there before also. And then it was the same year that Nepal became one of the 29 original participating countries in Bandung Conference. That laid the foundation of the non-aligned movement in 1961. And it was also the year that Nepal joined the United Nations on December 14, 1955. Since then, we have never looked backward. I think the number of countries having diplomatic relation with Nepal now stands over 180, 82, 83, kati cha. And exchange of visits at various levels between our two countries has been the highest tradition in the history of Nepal-China relations. These visits have strengthened the roots of bilateral relation, added new dimension, and introduced new dynamics in Nepal-China relations. To take the full benefits from the vast potential that exists in Nepal-China relation, number of bilateral mechanisms have been in place, and they have been meeting from time to time. As a close neighbor, friend, and reliable development partner, China has been assisting Nepal in the process of socio-economic transformation. The Chinese financial and technical assistance has greatly contributed to Nepal's development, especially in the area of infrastructure, connectivity, and enhancing, the establishment of industries, human resource development, health, education, and all that. Major ongoing projects, of course. Every day we cannot complete our outing without traveling the Kathmandu Ring Road, and that is under expansion at the moment. China borders 14 states, shares land borders with 14 states, and in South Asia with 5 South Asian nations. Nepal and China, they share a long border, I think 14 kilometers. All outstanding border problems were resolved amicably in 1960, and of course the following year the border agreement was signed between Nepal and China. Notwithstanding the high and mighty Himalayas that separate our two countries, Nepal and China are working in further consolidating the age-old friendship and expanding areas of cooperation. Nepal has been consistently, I would add unequivocally, following one China policy. Kathmandu has made it clear time and again that it does not allow its territory to be used against our neighbors. True to its words, Nepal has maintained this position irrespective of changes at the regional and global level. On October 13, 12 and 13, 2019, President Xi visited Nepal and elevated the friendship to a level of strategic partnership between us. Joint communique issued on October 13th says that, and I quote, China and Nepal take the Belt and Road Initiative as an opportunity to deepen mutually beneficial cooperation in all fields in a comprehensive manner, jointly pursue common prosperity and dedicate themselves to maintaining peace, stability and development in the region. The bilateral relationship between Nepal and China has entered a new phase. Both sides decided on the basis of 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, Charter of the United Nations and principles of good neighborliness, elevate Nepal-China comprehensive partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship. 2. Strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity. I think here I would echo Professor Apeksha Shah's remarks that I think we need a bit clarity on the strategic partnership. I think against this background, what I feel is that the moment has arrived when China-Nepal relations have to be analyzed in a broader global and multilateral strategic perspective, rather than on the usual rhetoric for bilateral problems that have characterized our relations. The cordiality that has characterized our relation. In this context, when we talk of strategic partnership, I would like to mention 3 points. A, economic benefits. 2, global influence. Number 3 is the enhancement of national security. Economic benefit, when we talk about economic benefit, I think if we look at the world, the economically, where does the world stand? I think, has it become a bipolar? I think it is, because the third power that was projected to be following very closely, that is India, I think there is a big power gaps with the 5th largest economy, of the 5th largest economy with the 2nd and 1st. And economically, we are so very closely connected. We live in an increasingly interconnected and interdependent world. I think that we have to think it over. How is our dependence increasing on our neighbors? There is an excessive overdependence of Nepal on neighbors, south and north. The dependency is increasing. In that context, if your economy is economically, if we are weak, I am saying this because economic strength has been the index of how much the country is powerful. And now the global influence, yes, we are happy to know that, to see that our neighbors' global role, influence, place is increasing. That is good. And China is no longer a free rider now. China has undertaken the cost. It has enhanced its contribution to the United Nations in recent years. It contributes more to the United Nations peacekeeping operation, and it heads, I think, 4 of UN specialized agencies. So within the United Nations, China's role also has increased, and we are happy to see that. And the third is enhancement of national security. About the national security, again I will go back to the strategic partnership. As we say that, as I said, and the previous speaker also said, we concluded a strategic partnership with between Nepal and China, and we should we make it clear that such a strategic partnership with China is not directed against any country. But as Madam Saha said, I think we need bit of clarity on this, because we must be clear what Nepal can offer to give to China in a partnership, and where do we stand. I remember after the signing, after we agreed to elevate our partnership, strategic partnership with China, the Prime Minister of today was also the Prime Minister of that time. He said that he would likewise work to elevate Nepal's partnership with the southern neighbor India. I am not clear what he was trying to say. I think that he said in an interview he gave to Kantipur Weekly. Delhi, sorry. So, against this background, what we need to do is list exhaustively the various scenarios for the next decade. Where are we going? And if we look at the emerging world order, the old order is gone. The new order is yet to be born, is struggling to be born. And what kind of order we will have, we do not know. And militarily, it is still, to my understanding, militarily it is still a bipolar, because no other countries than the United States have the power projection capabilities at the global level. So, and politically, it's not bipolar, as I said. It's either politics remain polarized or it remains punctured. The religion has emerged as a focal point of politics, as we have recently seen in South Asia. So, a country like Nepal, we have to construct exhaustively the various scenarios for the next decade, and how our two neighbors should react for and against Nepal's interest, with or without strategic partnership. We have to draw a chart of overall cost and benefits. I don't think such an exercise or exercises have been done so far, at least to my knowledge it has not come. So in all these things, we must make sure that Nepal is not forced to become a camp follower. Nepal, given our complex geography, Nepal cannot side with any of our neighbors or any of the great powers. So we must make sure that we work in such a way that Nepal does not become a camp follower or become a junior partner in the partnership. Yes, as I said earlier, there was a fear in the beginning when China started its reforms and opening up process in 1979. From China fear, there is a China fear has become China fever now. China's diplomacy has earned several friends around the world. And with Nepal, Nepal-China friendship provide a model, provide an example of how countries of different sizes, countries at different level of development, countries with different political and economic system have remained harmoniously side by side. That's a model that we should learn, that others should learn. In South Asia, it was traditionally considered a preserve of India. Now China's presence is increasing. And I think it's being seen as a good neighbor and good partner in South Asia. We must be clear that while considering all these things that I tried to list, we must be clear that, I know your time is up. We must be clear that without a secure, sound domestic foundation, it will be difficult for Nepal to deal with our neighbors. And China well understands that without a secure foundation among its Asian neighbors, its rise at the global level will be difficult. President Xi has underlined the concept of community of a shared future. The concept, to my understanding, prioritizes a UN-based international order that includes WTO and other institutions. It opposes US-led world order based on alliances and US-backed intervention beyond UN norms. China's officials continue at times to call for a new world order, but more recent emphasis on community of a shared future implies preserving much of the existing US-led world order and changing it along the line favored by China. I think, as I mentioned earlier, the Belt and Road, this Silk Road, and at one time it was One Belt, One Road, and now the Belt and Road Initiative, China has been presenting it as an exemplary way to promote mutually beneficial, what China calls win-win development, win-win cooperation. So on diplomacy, China argues for inclusiveness. Role of small states and all that, China favors that. And China talks of democratization of international relations. I think People to people contacts also are increasing because of the time constraint. I think now the moderator is looking at me. I thank PRI for having me here and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And I would like to thank all of you for your kind attention. And if there are any questions on my presentation, I would be glad to discuss them later on. Thank you very much.